My friends at Cricket Wireless and ESPN are giving away a trip to one of the year's biggest sporting events. We're talking about an opportunity to choose an ultimate bucket list event. Visit cricketsweepstakes.com/ESPN bucket list or go to your local cricket store to enter.
The Veterans Day Armed Forces Classic. Number 10 Arizona faces number 12 Michigan State, followed by 11th ranked Indiana and number 3 Kansas. Coverage begins Friday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN and on ESPN Radio.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Give me your boom, boom, boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, Doe?
I'm David Jacoby. And we are Jalen Jacoby on ESPN Radio. Do you want to sing today?
Not today.
You can have today.
Today's not the day to cut me off in traffic.
Don't even explain.
It's not the day to be tweeting me something crazy. It's not the day when I hold the door open and you don't say thank you. It's not. It's not that day.
I understand. Last night, the country elected Donald Trump as the next president of the United States. Last night, the country, the general populace, via the Electoral College, elected President Trump to be the next president of the United States.
What? I can't think of anything in my adult life, regardless of political party, more stunning than what you just said.
You know what? When you said that you've never cut a sandwich was probably the only thing that was more stunning to me personally. Because that just doesn't make any sense. I just can't imagine living a life of rich and diverse and full of yours to get to this age that you are at and never cut a sandwich.
Well, I felt that way when we got this program. At first, it was a radio show, and you didn't care about your teeth, and then you got white strips.
I know, but I've been off the white strips for a while, Jay. I need to get back on that. You see that?
When
I put the shaving cream on my face,
good.
like that white shaving cream, there's a little contrast there.
You good. Maybe we should start a Celebrity Apprentice.
No. We try not to get fired around here. My question is, how will this election result affect the world of sports?
Well, now that it's official that he's going to be president, just like any other public figure, we could kind of break down some of the things that people are probably going to be upset about once that situation actually occurs and he becomes the leader of the free world, our free country. There will be athletes, because there has been athletes already who've shown outwardly for their personal reasons why they didn't think that he would be a president for everyone because of certain things that he said during his campaign. So from that, just like Tom Brady exercised his right not to visit the White House, allegedly he was busy the day when his team went to visit when Barack Obama was in office. What I want to put on wax is now that Donald Trump will be the commander-in-chief, don't be surprised when multiple athletes decline the opportunity to visit the White House.
Because that is one of the only times when there is a true intersection between the world of sports and the presidential office. There is this tradition that the champions go to the White House, and in this Trump regime, you are saying that there will be large percentages of teams that will be absent from that visit?
I do, because if you just look at the demographic of how sports play out, there are different majorities based on the sport. So that may be representing blacks, basketball and football. Baseball is heavily going to be represented with the Latino community. Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting to see how it truly plays out for those baseball players who, while it's a sport that we call and consider America's pastime, it is a sport that, if you look at the demo of its fan base and the major demo of the Trump fan base, they mirror one another in a lot of ways. So don't be surprised when multiple athletes decline the opportunity to go to the White House as their opportunity to do a passive protest.
As the country sort of processes these results from last night, people have spoken up, people from all over the sports world, and someone who we sort of look to because of his fame, because of his stature, because of him being the most famous athlete in this country, LeBron James posted an Instagram message, part of which he said this, quote, "Minorities and women in all, please know that this isn't the end. It is just a very challenging obstacle that we will overcome. The man above will never put something in our paths that we can handle, no matter how difficult it may feel or be."
So when you acknowledge minorities and women, the thing that you're leaving out is the majority. And what is the majority in the United States of America? In theory, that's what's considered to be white. And I think LeBron made sure that he singled out these two classes of people, of minorities, because when you're talking through sports about building a wall, well, you've seen players come out and talk about how that dynamic could affect their family. Mm-hmm. When a lot of blacks feel like you were talking at the race and at the problem as opposed to addressing the situations that take place in the inner city like they are really people that are dealing with those circumstances on a daily basis, you can, and he has, offended a lot of people. But that's what happens in politics. It's not necessarily independent to him, but we can't sit here and say this has not been one of the most polarizing presidential races for both candidates. If you look at their favorable or unfavorable rating, they both mirrored one another for a lot of different reasons. So being a unique candidate, not having a background, say, of politics, it just shows that this now era of 2016, the opportunity for him to be in the Oval Office is going to be a magnet for a lot of people, but it's going to represent something that's really divisive for a lot more. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
And you can already see there's very different ways that people are responding to this. LeBron James's post on Instagram was very sort of forward-thinking, positive. This isn't the end. We can get through this. We'll fight together. We'll teach the children. This will look forward, and this will be positive. And then there's another end of that.
But also with the LeBron scenario, it's also the incubator of a life lesson. An example I like to use, if you're sitting in the front seat of a vehicle, there's a reason why the windshield is so much bigger than the rearview mirrors, because what's happening in front of you is clearly a lot more important than what's going on behind you. Mm-hmm. So I respect that logic, and coming from somebody who was a Hillary supporter, but don't think that everybody's going to actually be able to articulate it with that level of poise and discipline, because it is a divisive topic.
And then you have someone who didn't exactly tackle the subject with the same poise and discipline. Stan Van Gundy, the head coach of the Pistons, had this to say. Quote, "I don't think anybody can deny this guy is openly and brazenly racist and misogynistic and ethic-centric, and say, that's okay with us, we're going to vote for him anyway. We have thrown a good part of our population under the bus, and I have problems with thinking that this is where we are as a country."
I love Stan, a JRLA supporter, as you know, and I appreciate you being as such. He's going to be a straight shooter, not politically correct, because he doesn't have to be, and he's going to say what a lot of people truly are thinking. So that's why I appreciate that we're acknowledging what he said. And the part that makes this a lot more interesting is that that's just the beginning. Like, it hasn't even taken place yet, and it really won't sink in for a lot of people until a lot of the changes that he talked about making, and some of them are drastic, sweeping changes, whether it's with healthcare or talked of building a wall. It depends on when these things happen. So many people can be affected in a short period of time, and a lot of people are not going to be happy about it.
One thing that is certain through all of this is that this week's Saturday Night Live, hosted by Dave Chappelle, is going to be fire. Yep. You know, I'm a Die Easy Knicks fan, and I also love drama. And there's a part of me that enjoys the schadenfreude of watching the Knicks franchise turn into a complete dumpster fire. The latest has been that Phil Jackson is upset they're not running the triangle enough. What? So then he hires his guy, Kurt Rambis, who's already on the team. He says, you know what, Kurt? You're in charge of your defense. You're the defensive coordinator. Even though while you were the head coach of the Timberwolves, they were the third and second worst defenders in the entire league. When Carmelo Anthony, star of the team, was asked about this appointment, he said, quote, whether we're comfortable with it or not, it is what it is, so we have to buy into it. Does that sound like someone who has bought in?
No, but what it also acknowledges is a level of nepotism, because you hire Jeff Hornacek to do a job, give him a 3-year contract, and then a handful of games into the season, you're basically saying what he's doing defensively we have no use for. So I'm going to have my best friend who's on the staff, who I allowed to be a holdover, that used to coach the team, by the way, who I really wanted to give the head job, but the fans and the owner wouldn't think that was attractive, so I had to go out and hire somebody else. Now it's my way to ease him back in to show that his value is something paramount on their bench. It's just continues the litany of how Phil Jackson, the president of operations, has done a poor job with the New York Knicks. Mm-hmm. When you put together a roster, players are their personalities. You are your skill set. And when you add an agent, Joakim Noah, don't expect him to be your rim protector now. He's had some injuries the last couple of years. You gave him a $70 million deal. He's not moving the way he used to move before you gave him the contract. Derrick Rose is not a defender at the point guard spot.
No.
Which is the toughest spot to defend in today's game in a dribble drive pick and roll league. Carmelo Anthony has never been known for his defense.
No.
He's a terrific scorer.
Isolation scorer.
But when you have all three of those players on your team, that's every level. That's the point, that's the wing, and that's the interior. It doesn't matter if Red Auerbach coaches their defense. It's going to be poor all year. That's just how it's going down. Now, how they're going to be able to beat teams if they allow Porzingis continue to be the guy that they feature and try to beat teams with their offense and try to allow him to develop, because he went from building a team that I'm going to draft a couple of parts here and there, and then I'm going to land a big name free agent because I'm feeling NYC with the blank checkbook, but it didn't go down like that.
Didn't go down like that.
But what they did is they purchased the conscience real good. Remember, Daisy fans like yourself, they were out there picketing. We want to get James Dolan out as an owner. So you know what he did? He pulled a trump card out. You like that one, huh?
I do like that one.
And what did he do with it? He hired Phil Jackson for $65 million. They re-signed Carmelo Anthony for $120 million. And didn't they sign Porzingis? And Knicks fans was like,
Nope. So here's the thing.
I'm going to the game. I want my 2 minutes with Tina.
Here's the thing.
Where's Clyde?
Here's the thing.
Where's Spike?
Since Phil Jackson has taken over as president of the Knicks, March 19th, 2014, they have played 185 games. Since Phil has been there to save the franchise, they've played 185 games. They've lost 124 of those games. What? So at some point, you have to say, what is Phil Jackson doing for the Knicks that is worth all of this money that he's being paid?
Didn't they just get renovations to MSG?
Mild renovations. They didn't completely redo the thing.
So that means that they're continuing to cash those checks.
Oh, yeah, they're going to be fine financially.
So there's something to be said for getting that done versus having your fan base picketing in front of your facility.
Okay, it's one thing to have the fan base mad, but when you have the star player, Carmelo Anthony, saying, it is what it is, I guess we have to buy into it, to the press, when they're 2-6, you can tell that this is going to be another season where the Knicks not just don't make the playoffs, but become a laughingstock. And after the All-Star break, nobody cares that Carmelo Anthony fakes an injury and then doesn't play.
Yep. The payroll is heavy for the starting lineup in a salary cap driven sport, which literally depleted their depth. They have a roster of players that if you looked at it 4 years ago, you'd be like, Derrick Rose, this could be a super team.
Oh, yeah, this could be a super team.
Carmelo was on his way.
Even Brandon Jennings coming off the bench.
A multi-time All-Star. Joakim Noah's been Defensive Player of the Year, was in the MVP conversation. What? One of those amazing years, Derrick Rose actually won MVP. The youngest one to do it in the history of the league.
That's a super team.
And so that was then. This is now.
Not a super team.
And the thing that Carmelo is realizing, remember, you always pay attention to what happens to your peers. And who are they? Who are his Banana Boat boys? LeBron James, who has three championships, including one returning to Cleveland.
Dwayne Wade,
3 championships, returned home to Chicago.
And then you got the back of the banana boat, no championship.
Chris Paul,
and Carmelo.
but he has a chance to be in the Western Conference Finals
He's
this
contending.
year.
Chris Paul is contending for a championship this year. The Knicks are not contending for a
and
championship.
So when he sees what those guys are doing, he looks around and says, what about me? Like, he almost got stuck. And it was of his doing because he continued to re-sign with the Knicks to get top dollar when he had the opportunity as a free agent to go elsewhere, a la, shall I say, Kevin Durant.
There was a reporter who asked James Harden if he was the best player or best point guard in the league. He said, wait, which one is it? He responded, both. What? He said he's the best player and the best point guard in the league. Let's just allow him that and then make the case for him.
Usually positions for me are irrelevant because it's something that was created so a novice can follow the game. Just because you're playing the two and it's called a shooting guard, that don't mean you can knock down Jays. In today's game, you could be Ryan Anderson playing the power forward spot who continues to shoot multiple threes all day. So in an era where now, for me, it's basically a primary ball handler is what I consider James Harden. Mm-hmm. If I needed to define what position he'd play, I'd look at when I know other point guards come to town, and when I see Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard all come to town, you know what James Harden going to be doing?
When's Patrick Beverly back? When's Patrick Beverly coming back? Wait, I need Patrick Beverly. Isn't this why we got Patrick Beverly?
Okay. And so with that, you now look at his statistics. He, in theory, is doing what he was capable of doing last year with the 30-10 games because he was always been an underrated passer, will give up a good shot to get a great shot, and has a great feel for the game. Yep. He's really crafty. Plus, he led the league in total points. Like, there's a reason why the players voted him MVP a couple of years.
Dwight Howard wants to have his back to the basket and get fed in the post. Nene and Capella want to set a pick and then run to the basket as fast as possible and catch the ball and dunk.
So from that, a guy that was considered a great point guard in Tiny Archibald, the last person to lead the league in points and assists, now graduates this opportunity that I predict James Harden will do as such this season, and also creates regular season intrigue for a team we know that's not contending. So for those people that think, yes, the Cavs and the Warriors are the favorites to make it to the finals, and that's rightfully so, but you're still paying attention to James Harden, Russell Westbrook,
and the Clippers.
What's going on with the Clippers,
of course,
what's happening with the Mama's boys in Portland, putting up 30 plus in a couple of games. So the league is at a really healthy place.
So intriguing. I would love to see James Harden break Tiny Archibald. And they wouldn't break the record, but match Tiny Archibald by leading in both points and assists. Dwayne Wade's returning to Miami to play the Heat. So obviously, we're going to rehash some of the things from this summer. He said that he has not spoken to Pat Riley since last season. Are you surprised by this?
I'm not surprised because these are very competitive, headstrong guys that were in the foxhole together and are bosses in their own right. Pat Riley, one of the great all-time puppet masters who won championships before he met Dwayne Wade. Yep. Not necessarily the other way around. Dwayne Wade, a 3-time champion, a future Hall of Famer. Somebody had to clear the cap space to add LeBron James and Chris Bosh. Now, when I continue to take pay cuts, when I see you paying Goran Dragic $80 million and Tyler Johnson...
Wait, who, Tyler? What? Who?
$50 million, and then Whiteside didn't leave any money on the table. Like
No.
you can't leave like $4 to $6 million.
He sees those three moves. He's like, wait a second. You trying to tell me something? Are you trying to tell me something by giving them that money?
And so now it becomes a point of contention, a point of pride. But I'm going to point out a nugget that a lot of people continue to overlook. There's a reason why LeBron even acknowledged that the Heat didn't want to give D-Wade what's considered now a Kobe deal. Mm-hmm. That's paying the superstar player knowing he's past his prime on a team that's not contending and probably won't make the playoffs.
I'm not giving anybody a Kobe deal.
So from that, they offered Dwayne Wade a 2-year contract. And when Denver heard that, when Chicago heard that, they were like, hey, we may be able to work with that.
You know, LeBron called up. He called the Cleveland owners. They're like, no, Bron. No, Bron.
Because you expect more from the team that you've accomplished so much with that you're going to have a statue in front of their building one day. So they, by Dwayne Wade's standard, if they didn't give him a 3-year deal, he was bouncing.
I understand the tension. I understand how we got to where we are with him on the Bulls. What I don't understand is why not reach out to Pat Riley? Why not Pat Riley reach out to Dwayne Wade? Why not just communicate with each other just to clear it out? Just leave. Just let that tension go. You say they're both bosses. Like, that's a boss move. You're a boss. I'm a boss. We used to work together. Didn't work out. So let's just keep it moving now.
What he established in Miami, starting with getting Shaquille O'Neal as a big-time free agent back in the day, to go with Alonzo Mourning and Gary Payton and that team that eventually won the championship, is something I termed affectionately the Miami Mafia. Because I noticed that they were an insulated franchise that whether you were still in uniform or whether you were past your prime or whether you retired, they still took care of their own. Tim Hardaway, Keith Askins, Alonzo Mourning, Ron Rothstein, the coach, who's been there for a couple of decades. Eric Spoelstra, who's been there for a couple of decades. Udonis Haslem. The list goes on and on. So there's no accident when LeBron, in my term, defects. Not only does he leave, Pat and him don't talk.
No. It's consistent. It seems consistent.
2, what does LeBron do to help get some championship support?
Oh, that takes him.
He raids the Miami Mafia.
Mike Miller?
Whoever it is. James Jones, Mike Miller.
Birdman? You got Birdman too? Like everybody.
No doubt. I see James Posey sitting over there. Damon Jones. Like anybody that's been in
the
Miami.
Mascot.
No
He's
question.
Everybody. Gloria Estefan, Dan Levitard.
And with that, he now did something that a lot of players in the modern era haven't done. You know what that is? Even Hall of Famers win a championship without one of the great puppet masters. Whether it was Phil the coach, Pat the coach and or GM, somebody like Belichick in football and or somebody like Pop in San Antonio. He achieved that in Cleveland. Now for Dwayne Wade, he clearly knows all of this. And one of the things that became a rub is that those two guys clearly continue to fraternize and show their brotherhood, though LeBron looked at the Heat roster, Chris Bosh and Wade in particular, and said, I think I got a better chance of winning with Kyrie and Love.
Yep.
So I'm bouncing.
You know what Dwayne likes about this particular game? He likes that the Bulls are 4-3. You know, like he likes it. The Bulls are on the way up. Miami's had a little stumbling out of the gate there too. That feels a little bit better.
Well, it's your intention when you go to Chicago that you have a chance to play on a playoff team, not a championship level team. You played your best years in Miami, a team that probably wouldn't have made the playoffs with you. It made sense, both of their decisions, for me. It was a win-win.
Sure. The Thunder. The whole NBA world tuned in to watch the Thunder get shellacked by Kevin Durant and the Warriors. And when you were watching that game, you really did see the depletion of the Thunder weapons, like what they look like without Kevin Durant, with Laverne getting minutes and Cantor only playing 3 minutes, and you got some Kyle Singler out there with his crazy hair. The Thunder are off to their best start since the franchise moved to Oklahoma City.
Yep.
That's the only time that they've lost, is that one game that we all saw.
Yep.
They haven't played the stiffest of competition. So my question to you is, do you think the Thunder will see continued success as the season goes on?
They're going to have an MVP candidate in Russell Westbrook, who likely will lead the league in triples-doubles for the second straight year. That puts you in the playoffs. Cantor, one of the best finishing bigs we have in the game. Nice hands, soft feet, can finish around the hoop, grab boards. He has a soft touch.
He had a 20 and 10 game
Not
recently.
a defender, but he doesn't need a lot of minutes to get big stats.
20 and 10.
Productive he got his new contract. He still hasn't been that double-double type of player that they anticipate he should be, but he's still giving them productive minutes and playing hard. And obviously when you pair Oladipo with Russell Westbrook, you should give teams challenges just because of their energy and their explosiveness. You have a rookie in Sabonis who they're relying on to score the ball too. So, yes, the Oklahoma City, to me, have outplayed expectations for a roster that has done a terrific job of drafting when you look at the landscape of the game. And you can argue that they lost two of the top 5 players within the last few years in James Harden and Kevin Durant.
Another team off to a hot start, people are real excited about. And we do this show in Los Angeles. People are real excited about the Lakers. Luke Walton has come in with his magnetic personality. They're free of the shackles of Kobe Bryant to play how they want. They're coming out of the gate. Nick Young is playing well. Everything's great for the Lakers right now. Should the fans just pump the brakes a little bit on this one?
Well, there will be a time during the season when we say it was all good just a week ago.
I think that might be about a week from now.
And we always talk about happiness being a function of expectation. So while there's an enthusiasm and there's a euphoria through downtown Los Angeles, I look down at the standings, they're 500.
And they're not going to stay there.
They beat
either.
the Golden State Warriors, which is a great win. Also going to Atlanta. They have shown promise, in particular Jordan Clarkson, who has had a couple of 20-point games. A lot of Nick Young earlier in this year.
Look,
making his shots.
D'Angelo Russell's been real clean on social media.
Julius Randle.
Things are going well.
Larry Nance Jr. will be in the dunk contest one day. He has bounced. But they will not be a playoff team. But I do give Luke credit for doing a great job of trying to get young players to play winning basketball.
President Obama is no longer going to be the president of the United States. But he had a tradition where every election day he would play pickup basketball. Now, this is something that I have discussed hours and hours and hours with one of the producers of this show and my great friend Kevin Wilds. How would you cover the president if you were matched up against the president?
Easy. You got to take his left hand away.
I know, but do you play him hard?
Absolutely.
Do you play him hard? You're in his face. You don't let him score. You suffocate him because you're obviously going to be better at basketball than him. And the whole game is built just for his enjoyment. And you're not going to let him get a bucket off or nothing.
He can't flush the toilet with his right hand.
No.
You cut that left hand off.
You just know he's coming back left. Yeah, you know he's going to come back left. He might go right,
and I'm
he's coming back left.
I'm a fellow lefty, and I say this because I was this as well. Janky. That's just the word that comes to mind.
Just a janky lefty.
Yes.
You just called the president, the sitting president of the United States, a janky lefty.
It takes one to know one.
And another thing I know about you when you play basketball, you talk a lot of trash. You hurt feelings of people that are much less skilled and gifted as you are as an athlete. You hurt feelings. Would you talk trash to President Barack Obama if you were playing him in a pickup game?
First off, you know Arnie Duncan playing too, who's also a janky lefty.
Yeah.
So
now 30% of the people out there are janky
no
lefties.
question about it. I hope I get a chance to go there and hoop before he exits.
Yep.
I wonder if Donald Trump can hoop.
No. Would you score on him? Would you go after him? But I just think at some point, I know you. It's really easy to say when you're sitting in this studio. It's really easy to say, oh yeah, I would talk trash to him. I would not let him score. But listen, if I'm there, we're playing at some secret underground nuclear bunker basketball court that he has with his face at the half court. Do you know what I'm doing? I'm letting him get some buckets. I'm putting buckets on him, but I'm gonna give him a little space. He's the president. He's old. He's got gray hair. He's got so much gray hair now. He needs that Beijing.
I think that it would be great if we got a chance to go there and hoop before he left the White House. That would be awesome.
Clock is ticking, Jalen. And no one works in December. He likes to golf a lot, too.
That would be
he's
a
definitely
good look.
golfing now. He's golfed more than any other sitting president in the United States. Now, he'll be on the course.
I wonder if Trump is going to keep the basketball court.
No. He'll probably repaint it. He'll rebrand it. He'll rebrand it. So, Rick Ross, you're familiar with his work.
Rose!
Right? He got a letter the other day. He opened it and read it. The IRS saying, you owe us $5.7 million. Now, first of all, you know that you are doing well financially when the IRS says you owe us $5.7 million. Yeah. He released this statement, quote, I'm fully aware of my current dealings with the IRS. This issue arose from an incorrect filing by a prior accountant for the 2012 tax year. My new team of accountants have corrected the prior filing, and as anyone who has dealt with the IRS understands, it's a process.
Me and you addressed this a lot because the pendulum swings for people who are quick to judge until they realize that you don't do your own taxes.
Yeah. Like, I didn't do it.
So therefore,
I got money
we're
coming
all
in. It's so
trusting
complicated.
somebody to do it.
Yeah, when you have Rick Ross income, like, you can't just TurboTax that. You can't download the app and then just like, I'll just fill out a couple of boxes. It's complicated. But at the same time, like, I think he's kind of proud. Like, I think he's kind of proud that he owes the IRS 5.7. That's a big number to owe the IRS.
Well, he doesn't seem too worried about having to pay it back.
No, he doesn't. He's like, it's a process. It's
all good.
Trust the process.
Yes,
That's all I
indeed.
say. He's like, I'm like saying Hanky
Joel
over here.
Embiid.
Yeah, trust the process. As we head into the fall, it's November. It's starting to be the holiday season where you start thinking about Thanksgiving, getting family together, celebrating the year, and giving thanks for your blessings.
Cuffing season.
Neiman Marcus, you're familiar, right?
Yep.
They are selling collard greens that you can order, and they will mail to you. $81
That's a lot of money.
for 4 trays, 12-ounce trays of collard greens. $81 for collard greens.
There are a lot of families that have a similar background as mine that if this represented what we hoped 40 acres and a mule would, oh man, we wouldn't have needed no help, no Jim Crow laws or any of that. And it wouldn't have taken till 2008 to get a black president. I'll tell you that. What about, I have something that probably should cost more in the same vein.
Oh, no.
You ready for this?
Nope.
I don't like them. My family cooked them, but they take a lot more time to prepare. Chitlins.
I'm not eating that.
Pig intestines.
No.
And when the family's cooking them, it smells as such when you're coming in and out of the kitchen, passing through the house. And that discouraged me from eating them. But I can't lie. I was in the minority in the family.
Do they sell chitlins at Neiman Marcus?
I think they should be $100.
Manny Pacquiao won a fight this weekend. And now Mayweather was sitting ringside. Just a straight up real, let's be honest, let's be real, Jalen Rose. Do you want to see Mayweather and Pacquiao fight again?
I'm going to go to the fight. I want to see Floyd get his 50th victory. Here's what it reminds me of, though. It reminds me of a Rocky film when he's past his prime and Apollo Creed and he are still hyping up the opportunity to fight one another. Mm-hmm. And they're a lot more excited about it than we are. But it will be something that drums a lot of interest. But we all know this is clearly, if we felt like the first fight was 4 or 5 years too late, this is clearly adding to that time.
We need Pacquiao, Mayweather, Conor McGregor to all fight at once. And Hulk Hogan.
Oh, you want them on the same
Rick
card?
Ross. Yeah, all at the same time. No, all fighting in the ring at the same time.
Oh, like a Royal Rumble, like Saturday Night Main Event, old school WWF.
After we play Obama at pickup in the underground bunker, while we're cooking chitlins, Pacquiao, Mayweather, McGregor, March 27th, 2017. Book your hotels now.
You might as well do it at the Trump.
Perfect.
Like I said, Neiman Marcus selling collard greens for $81. They should actually be selling chitlins, and they should cost $100. Have you ever tried chicken lips?
No, those don't exist.
My late, great Uncle Paramore used to take me to get them right off 7 Mile in Livernois.
What are chicken lips?
They were fried, so I didn't truly know
What part of the chicken they were?
what part of the chicken they were. They just told me they were chicken
They were
lips. They
fried?
were hot and they were good.
Did you dip them in something?
Of course.
Ranch?
I'm a brother. We dip everything in ranch.
Gets dipped. Everything gets dipped.
Or ketchup.
Everything,
or
everything
anything.
everything gets dipped.
We eat everything dipped.
Everything gets dipped.
Don't taste it and then dip in it.
It's finally happened for the Dallas Cowboys. Tony Romo is now medically cleared to play. It is a coach's decision whether or not he plays football in the National Football League. The doctors are saying, look, this is not on us anymore. So you cannot hide behind the medical issues anymore.
Tony Romo played a long time in Dallas. He's had his up and down moments. He hasn't been able to catapult them into the level of Super Bowl glory that they'd hoped for. And he's been marred by injury. His days as the regular starting quarterback in Dallas are over.
Let me offer him a piece of advice. Tony, I know you're a big fan of Jalen Jacoby. You subscribe to the podcast. You watch every single night in ESPN2 and then ESPN News all night in the morning. Tony loves the show, so he's going to hear this message.
And speaking of Dallas, come on, Mark Cuban.
Hold on. Tony Romo, you need to come out with a statement that says you were proud and happy to back up Dak Prescott and support him in his efforts to get the Cowboys a Super Bowl championship. He needs to just come out and say it, just clear the air and say, I want to back up Dak Prescott. I believe in this team and the momentum that we have. We have 7 wins in a row. That's not something I want to mess up. Dak, your team.
Hit the brakes. Tony Romo could get cut by the Dallas Cowboys at the end of this year. Mm-hmm. Do you think he wants his value to be that of a starting quarterback or a backup?
He's going to get paid no matter what. You know that. When Brock Osweiler got paid, Tony Romo's going to get paid.
So you can get the same thing accomplished without that statement. You can actually do it. And I see him supporting Dak Prescott, embracing the team element, not saying the wrong thing, not upsetting the apple cart. And Dak, once you go Dak, you never go back.
It's not going to happen. He needs to come out and say it. Like, what would be the downside? What would be the bad part? What would be the rub if he comes out and says, you know what, I want to nip this all in the bud. Let's not even talk about it anymore. I'm going to be the backup quarterback until
I'm going to repeat.
I give us a better chance to win. Right now, Dak Prescott gives us the best chance to win.
To repeat
as
for you
by winning 7 in a row.
The competitive rub. You don't know what's going to happen on the next play. And that could be whether it's injury, whether that could be performance. So you don't want to now relegate yourself mentally as a guy that knows that in his head, when he's healthy, he can be a productive starting quarterback, to now thinking and feeling like a backup. You could support him like he has been doing without saying that. The only people that are making this a big deal is the media.
Yeah, I know. It could all end. I'm bored of it. I'm bored. I'm tired of Dak or Tony Romo. It's been happening since week 3.
But here's the thing. It all is falling on deaf ears because he's going to be their starting quarterback, not Tony Romo. So it don't matter what we say or how many ways it gets spent, or if you're looking at how Tony Romo's been in his hat, or is he smiling when the team scores a touchdown, or did he jump up and down when Witten made a big play? He's going to be on that sideline holding the clipboard as long as Dak is productive.
He'll just be in uniform now. Cole Beasley, who's sort of made a name for himself recently in the National Football League. he had a little celebration that some people likens to LeBron James's chalk toss. He said, quote, about LeBron, "He's not my type of guy. I'm a Kobe guy. He goes to the bucket like he's a running back and wants to cry when someone touches his arm. He's just not my type of guy, man."
Shots fired.
Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley.
And here's the unique part of these shots.
What's LeBron James' favorite team?
The Dallas Cowboys are LeBron James' favorite team.
You know he's going to be bittersweet when Cole Beasley scores a touchdown now.
Or now, since you were supporting the Indians, though you were representing the Yankees for so very long, maybe this may now have LeBron become a Browns fan.
No.
Let me see. You guys forget too fast.
Forget what?
How Johnny Manziel goes to Cleveland. LeBron James is on the bus. The first one with the Manziel jersey. See, you guys forget.
Oh, no, that's because he signed him to Clutch Sports. They dropped him so fast.
My point exactly.
Yeah, that was a business decision. That was not a fashion decision.
You're still missing what I'm saying. If he would have went on to perform like Russell Wilson, LeBron James would still be standing on the sideline wearing that jersey.
He'd have a Manziel tattoo.
Okay. Like Rex has a Mark Sanchez.
Yeah. What? I love Rex so much. You see, Pete Carroll told Rex to coach his own players. I love that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Coach K got caught up with that in the NCAA tournament, where a player was enthusiastic and celebrated the fact that he hit a late 3-point shot. And going through the line, he sort of chastised the young player,
and then
or
tried to
questioned
act
him.
like he didn't do it in the press conference. Like, come on, Coach K. a lot of cameras around there. You didn't say good game. Get them next time, kid.
That's just a way to defend your player.
I like it, though. I like it when you're like, oh, I'm sorry. I coach my own players, and he's on the other sideline worrying about my players, but he should be worried about whether or not he's going to win this game.
I'll give everybody, especially that's a parent, an analogy. It's when you're out in public and your kid's acting up, but then somebody wants to actually figure they're going to intervene, or they can't, so they just kind of stare at you like, are you going to get your kid?
No idea what you're talking about. My kids behave spectacularly when we go out. Little angels. Like little disciplined little military children, all of them.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Joey about that.
I don't take my kids out of the house. It's too much work. Here's what Drew Brees said about the NFL ratings. Everyone's got something about the NFL ratings. Here's what Drew Brees said. Quote, "We feel like the decline in TV ratings is a direct result. I know the players don't have any faith in the way that things are conducted within the front office in the NFL, certainly when it comes to any type of investigation, when it comes to any type of commissioner discipline." Let me just tell something to Drew Brees. That's not that's how you feel. Like, I know that, so that's what bothers you. But, like, you know what? Fans at home eating their chicken wings, they're not eating their chicken wings, drinking their Bud Lights, going, God, I used to enjoy this so much more when they handled discipline better. No, that's what's happening, Drew.
If you want to compare it to the NBA, a league that continued to promote individuality from its stars, Magic, Larry, Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, and the NFL, who markets teams and brands, and the Cowboys, the Packers, the Steelers. And then it was about the glory position, the quarterback spot. Well, when you don't have many quarterbacks playing at an elite level on championship level teams, it's kind of hard to promote that. And from that, now all of a sudden, you're searching for storylines. And when I watch a lot of these games, while there are a couple of teams, I'm like, okay, they both over 500. They both may go to the playoffs.
Sure.
I'm going to check this out. Then there are like 4 or 5 games like, red zone.
Yep, not gonna be able to do it. There's certain night games, the primetime games, that they're only one
Anything
game
on Thursday.
They're still playing those. Do you know the reason to watch Thursday is to look at those ugly uniforms? I check in on the uniforms and I look at the score and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Blake Bortles. There's been something that happened on this planet in the last 36 hours that we just have to discuss. You know, it's like it's one of those days where it's like, well, we cannot talk about it, or we can. But we have to discuss it, Jalen. And And of
you
course,
mean that Donald Trump was elected?
No.
That's
not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the iguana running through Snake Island and surviving.
What?
When you watched it, Jalen, you were not that impressed by the hatchlings run through Snake Island.
I was impressed by those
weren't.
survival tactics.
You weren't really impressed.
I was.
Here's one thing I have to say about this, and I've watched this 1,000 times. A few things.
That's how life happens in real time for all of us. We just don't realize it. It's almost like the exhibit
Snakes coming
video.
after us.
No question.
They're all coming after us.
No doubt.
But here's the thing, man. Iguana, you're running too close to the snakes. You're running too close to the snakes. Like when he got caught
It's
up,
so many of
when
them.
he got caught up, he ran right next to him. He ran basically at the snake and said, "Please hem me up and get me." He was dramatic. He was trying to do it for the drama. He knew he was on camera. It was like a reality TV show. He knew he was being filmed. He saw the drone right there. Those are high definition cameras. Those are big machines. He was doing it, trying to make it dramatic for the cameras. That's my theory. Also, I know how this works. Y'all went to Snake Island and filmed for like a month. That's 40 different iguanas in 17 different incidents that you put some nice music under and edited together. You can tell when they hem him up first and then they cut to the picture of the other one getting hemmed up, you can tell it's a different iguana. Y'all ain't fooling me, planet Earth. You're not fooling us here at Jalen Jacoby.
Well, when it's on television, it's clearly got to be edited.
It's edited. There's a bunch of different camera angles. There's only one time when it's one continuous shot, and that's when he originally makes his break. After he tries to stay still. That's a bad strategy to begin with.
I just appreciate your passion about
There's
this.
a snake crawling up on me. What am I going to do? Oh, nothing. I'm just going to stay still. Here's another thing. When they say to do that with bears, if a bear attacks me, I'm not going to play dead. I don't care. I don't care how many scientists in the world say, well, actually, the best thing to do is to play dead. Nope, sorry, I'm running, climbing a tree, doing whatever.
How fast are bears? You think you can run away from one?
I think I could throw a rock at one first. It's one thing a bear can't do. They don't have projectiles.
Well, you got to worry about the Chicago Bears this year.
I'm throwing a rock at a bear, and then I'm running the other direction. That's what I'm doing. And
kick the bear in the knee.
That's it. Yep. You hobble him a little bit. I'm running from a bear, though. I'm not playing dead.
I just need my bat at those moments.
No, you don't. Bat's not going to help. Just throw the bat and then run. You need a projectile. That's one thing. People always talk about animal incidents. They can't throw stuff. Use your advantage. I'm going to turn into Jake Arrieta real quick on that little grizzly bear.
But stay off the Twitter about presidential candidates if you're going to be him.
Oh, I was excited a second ago. Chip Kelly says, quote...
Who?
Exactly. Quote, I haven't talked to a college since I've been in the NFL, and that's not my goal.
If he wants to continue to coach beyond San Francisco, that's where it would be where he had a lot of success. I can't imagine the 49ers enduring another losing season after this one and him having a job beyond next season. Beyond next year.
No one's talking about where Bill Belichick is going to coach next. No one's talking about where Greg Popovich is going to coach next. And when people start asking you, especially reporters start asking you about going back to college,
they know
or
what
other
I just said.
Everybody knows.
You're judged by your record. And
everybody
their record
knows,
isn't
Chip.
too good.
Everybody knows, Chip. We saw what you did in Philly. It was cute for a while.
He did good in Philly.
Now we're seeing what you're doing out here, and it's not working. Not working in the Bay Area. Much more discussion about...
Well, there's a fundamental flaw in what he's trying to get accomplished. It's almost like when people talk about Phil running a triangle. Hey, guys, look at me. It ain't because he doesn't have Shaq and Kobe. It ain't because he doesn't have Phil. It ain't because he doesn't have MJ and Scottie Pippen. It's because you can play zone in the NBA now, and it's a mid-range offense. Okay? So you can play on the strong side defensively, box and elbows, and take away the triggers. That's why it doesn't work in today's landscape.
I just feel like the iguana ran right into the snake. Yep. It just ran right and directly at the snake. And then got hemmed up.
And for Chip Kelly, he's trying to run an offense that has no regard for time. How can you consistently win football games when you're disregarding time?
And the thing is, when you play that fast, you don't get a first down. You know what happens? Your defense goes right back out there.
Right.
You know, linebackers just, get off the field, whatever. We stopped them.
So there's
right back out.
So there's a reason why there are how many teams in the NBA running the triangle?
Zero. I'm gonna go with
There are
zero.
how many
Go
teams
zero.
that are running the up-tempo offense that Chip is running in San Francisco besides them?
Oh, besides them, zero.
Yeah, okay.
I'll go zero.
That's your examples.
There's an announcement that there's going to be a live-action Voltron film.
What?
Huh. Interesting.
The most I know about forming like Voltron came from a Wu-Tang song.
That's it. Like, you know what I went and did? I did a little research for this topic. I watched Voltron open again, and I realized I don't remember this show really. Like, I watched a lot of Voltron, but they're alien robot cats that come together and form Voltron.
I'll
who
tell you
guards
the
universe.
original alien that was on television. Ultraman.
Alf. Mork.
Mork from Mork.
Mork.
Nanu.
Nanu.
Rest in peace, Robin Williams.
There's been a lot of unrest in the world of sports recently. There's been some manifested itself in some anthem protests, statements, things of that nature. And in the wake of this election, one has to assume that there will be more activism from athletes moving forward. Dan Gilbert of the Cleveland Cavaliers said this about some of the previous anthem protests. Quote, "There's a million ways you can express yourself, and you should do that for sure. Taking a knee in the United States of America while millions of people are watching, I think it's a poor example." And then when he was asked if a Cavalier decided to do that, what he would do, and he said, "I hope we don't ever have to come with that."
So I made sure to keep score of the individuals that, whether they realize it or not, were in theory using a power play that could be deemed corporate bullying by acknowledging that they wouldn't like a player on their team doing this type of action. Bob McAdoo, the coach of the Giants, Dabo Swinney in Clemson, Jerry Jones with the Dallas Cowboys, and now Dan Gilbert. The purpose of a protest is to create an uncomfortable moment. And usually you want it to be when millions of people are watching if you're lucky. And if you have the platform of the NFL to do it, that creates the opportunity for Colin Kaepernick initially, and then for those who chose to follow suit to do as such. I just continue to also pay attention to the fact whether it's continuing to happen at the same rate or it continues to decline. It's not being shown as much.
Nope, not being talked about as much.
And it's not being talked about as much, which also is one of those things where you kind of follow the dollar because the camera pick and chooses where it shoots.
Well, they show the interlocking of arms, and the interlocking of arms seems like it is an NBA-sanctioned protest. Like, it seems like the CBA, the CBA negotiations coming, the NBA and the NBAPA, they sort of got together before the season started and sort of like negotiated this arm-locking compromise.
That's why I always draw the line and not just tell people the term protest. I distinguish the difference. What you're saying, the NBA players who will get fined and disciplined, I have to point that out, because when you consider a protest, you have to consider the consequences. And that would be one. We saw this happen with Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, my former teammate. So the interlocking of arms, to me, does represent that. Well, if you want to go a direct protest, to me, that's knee, taking one knee, and or having your fist in the air. We have not seen that from NBA players.
Do you think we will?
I don't.
Do you think the election results will affect the activity, the activism that you will see from NBA athletes?
I think it's going to heighten. I already saw a post that J.R. Smith did on this topic where he was basically acknowledging that there has been a change in the Oval Office and how that's going to affect his dynamic with his daughter. So we will see these type of situations take place. And you heard it here on Wax first. There will be multiple players who win championships that get invited to the White House that will kindly decline.
This has happened in the past. There's been individual athletes that have declined to go to the White House. But what you're predicting and what you're saying is there'll be a rash of athletes. Multiple, like a percentage of the team.
Tom Brady did it passively for Obama.
Mm-hmm.
He said he had a scheduling conflict. There will be people that actually do it for Donald Trump, who coincidentally, for whatever it's worth, I can't make this up, for whatever it's worth, he won the election. 11th month, 9th day. You know what that is turned around. 911. For whatever it's worth.
Okay, conspiracy theorist.
I'm just saying, for whatever it's worth. So with that, again, you will see players that do what Tom Brady did, except they're going to acknowledge that they're not going because they don't want to go because he's in the Oval Office. That's what's going to be the difference, as opposed to Tom Brady just declined and never gave a true reason. He just said it was a scheduling conflict.
One of the first NFL players to take a knee after Colin Kaepernick did was Brandon Marshall. Not of the Jets, Brandon Marshall of the Denver Broncos. He has since decided that he is no longer going to do so. He's cited some of the conversations that he's had about the relationship between the community and police officers, and he's cited the progress that has been made in his mind, and he said, I'm not going to do that anymore. What does that tell you?
What it tells me is fighting the system can create fatigue, and those that continue to strive and fight on, almost like in sports, become champions. So I do applaud him taking a stand because that's his choice during the year. And I'm not here to acknowledge whether he should do it for one game or for 16 games because he did it. It's almost like philanthropy. I learned to appreciate those who do spend their time, energy, or money versus worrying about those who are not willing to do so. Mm-hmm. So I respect the fact during this process, it's been acknowledged how he lost a couple of sponsors, and he continued to do it after that fact. I still, however, want to see how this is going to progress when now we have now when the flag is involved. Just like Obama needed to comment, Donald Trump also commented, and they were vastly different. So these are the type of things that are going to be seismic shifts in how things are handled in and around sports for topics like this.
One has to wonder if we will get the same considered, balanced, eloquent statement from the commander-in-chief in the next regime as we have previously during these tough times.
What's the latest you think
with Barack Obama?
What's the latest tweet you think Barack has ever sent?
At night? I don't even follow you. You know I don't follow Barack Obama. The Sacramento Kings are an absolute dumpster fire of an organization. Like, I'm just going to say that, right? You know, they fired so many coaches, different GMs. Vlade Divac is in there. The owner is talking crazy every time there's a microphone in front of him. But there's one thing that the Sacramento Kings have done right, and that is actually take action and host events trying to bridge the gap between the Sacramento community and police officers. DeMarcus Cousins, who is regarded around the league as sort of emotional and hothead and off-the-court issues or whatever. Well, in his hometown, Alabama, he held a night between students and police officers just to get everybody in the same room and communicate. The Kings have done that in Sacramento. Cousins, Rudy Gay, Matt Barnes, Garrett Temple hosted and facilitated a private meeting between 150 local high school students and police officers.
If it saves one life, if it affects one interaction that could be fatal, it's worth it. That's how I feel if I get a chance to talk and or mentor to any type of group or young people. You don't go in with the attitude, or you shouldn't, that everybody's going to take the message and absorb it. You hope that one person does. And for that, I applaud them taking that step.
Because I think a lot of people's criticism of some of this athlete activism, it's only symbolic. What are they actually doing? Well, here are the Kings actually doing something, and that should be recognized and applauded.
But the dynamic that gets lost is you have to let somebody else cook about what they're passionate about and don't criticize them about how they choose to express themselves about something that they're passionate about. That, in a lot of ways, is what creates the rub.
I felt like you criticized me a little bit when I was talking about the iguana on Snake Island. I was very passionate about that. Just waiting for an apology. Jalen Rose.
What up, Dell?
We have a motto on this show. That motto is... This is a good question, right? A couple of reasons I love this question, Jalen. One, this dude definitely listens to the show.
Okay. Which we love and appreciate.
Two, I kind of think the Clippers might be there.
Uh-oh, something I already talked about I think is coming here.
Alex wants to know.
Uh-oh.
Let's say it's Clippers versus Warriors in the playoffs. What does LA do to beat them? And then he says, we know the small forward position is a problem. Beyond that, though.
Post-ups and dribble drives.
Ooh.
Each team has strengths and weaknesses. The Clippers give teams problems because while they size-wise have what's considered a traditional four in Blake, who can play with his back to the basket plus play facing, but his ball handling and his passing ability allows him to still flourish in an era of positionless basketball. And we know he's an explosive athlete. And DeAndre Jordan, the same exact thing for his position. Rebounding, getting dunks, blocking shots, catching a lot of lobs. All of those things are advantages against the Warriors if you're able to take advantage of them. Their death lineup, the thing that makes it so effective is at 6'7", 6'8", Draymond Green has been able to guard one of those positions.
And now you have Kevin Durant involved, who can rebound.
But he is slight of build compared to those players.
To say the least.
So that is where you create an opportunity that you hope to take advantage of. On one end, here's a guy that leads the Warriors in scoring, has been a scoring champion, is going to play facing. Can you supplement what he's going to do on the offensive end and pound them on the other end of the floor, driving the ball, getting to the free throw line? And that's going to be the key. If you can get the Warriors in foul trouble. And a lot of that onus is going to be on DeAndre Jordan because he's the guy that's 7 foot tall. And though he can't make free throws and it may not be as much of a factor the last 2 minutes of a game where they're not going to go to him or feature him clearly, during the course of a game, he has to be able to punish small defenders. And it can't always just be catch a lob and dunk. You got to be dominating offensive boards, getting rim runs where he gets duck ins. And if they're able to now get fouls on the Golden State Warriors up front, that can now be something that creates an opportunity for them to compete against a team that I would not be surprised if they face in the Western Conference Finals.
I love this matchup because the Warriors are the team the Clippers can't beat. You know, they beat the Spurs. They beat a lot of other teams. They just can't get over this Warriors hump. And there's one thing about this question I like is because one of the things I automatically go to, I'm like, all right, Blake Griffin should post up. You know, like let's post up Blake Griffin. But anytime you watch the Clippers, and I watch a lot of Clippers, you post up Blake Griffin, it works out 50% of the time. Sometimes he looks brilliant. Sometimes he looks a little lost. But you just wonder, would this possession be better if he was setting a pick for Chris Paul?
Well, the rub becomes he and Chris Paul are as effective as any combination at running pick and rolls, pick and pops. And then when you throw it back to Blake, his free throw line jumper is money.
Wet.
And now he has the ability to clearly
pass
create
over the
it for DeAndre over the top or kick it to the weak side to JJ Redick or Jamal Crawford. So the Clippers have this is the best Clippers team that we've seen since Doc Rivers has been coaching this group. And I know that they have a hole at the small forward spot. The best player they've had fill that position though during those years has been Matt Barnes, who's no longer there. But they have a level of familiarity which creates another level of strength. And also, they have a couple of the top players at their positions in Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, one of the best knockdown shooters in J.J. Redick, one of the best six-men in isolation one-on-one players in Jamal Crawford. So this is their best team, and they should be in the Western Conference Finals. But obviously you can't overlook the Spurs, who thumped the Warriors, who got thumped by the Clippers so far this year.
Interesting question today from my man Justin. Jalen, what were the best aspects of living in Canada?
The best aspects for me is it created an escape. When you're in the United States and you travel from city to city, state to state, usually there's a basketball team there and or a football team, if not both. And then also in those cities, there may be baseball teams, hockey teams, and then you double and triple down in California or New York or even in Chicago. Well, in Toronto, there's one team that plays in Canada, the Raptors. So because of that, you literally have an entire country supporting one team. And I love that.
Something tells me Justin had ulterior motives for asking that question.
Yep.
Adrian has a simple question. What's more important, your hairline or your teeth?
Teeth.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because I might be bald one day, but I still want a $1 million smile.
Can I make a confession?
Sure.
I think it was my mom sent a bunch of old photos of myself to my house. And I was looking at those old photos.
You had a hairline.
There was something different about me.
You had a hairline.
I've always had this haircut my entire life.
Little
right?
pork chop.
This is a one clip
Little
everywhere.
buzz.
One clip everywhere. It's just easy to do. It's easy to get from somebody. It never gets messed up. It's just like a one clip. It's easy. It's simple. But I did notice I wasn't creeping in the corners as much as I am now.
Yeah, little pork chop.
Little pork chop coming. And then it makes me think, what's it going to look like in 10 years? You know?
Just cut it lower.
Then I'm going to have that Doc Rivers, like, why even have hair at all thing going on?
No, you won't have that.
What is that?
That's shoe polish.
What is that? What is on his hair?
Doc,
what is that?
If you look closely at Doc Rivers, it's a combination of Beijing and Kiwi up there.
What is going on?
It's almost.
It looks like a chia pet that no one's tended to appropriately.
Well, it's almost a drop top because it's
it looks like someone's front yard, but it's like, you know what's the drought? Let's not even bother them.
I figured it out. It has the appearance of a drop top, but it's really a sunroof.
I don't know what it is. That might be the only thing holding the Clippers back.
And you know, some cars have dual sunroofs.
XXS has this question.
Well, T-top, like a Trans Am.
I'm dating this girl, but I rarely see her. We text a bit, and sometimes she sends me selfies. Stay or go?
Well, the term dating and rarely doesn't go together.
Nope.
That's a great point. Yeah, if you rarely see her, you're not really dating.
Nope.
And you're getting the selfies for that reason.
Yep.
This one isn't going to work out, XXS.
Nope.
It's not going to work out.
Just enjoy it. Just have fun.
Look, yeah, ride it out, man. There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
you know,
just
you get enjoyment from whatever you can.
Just have fun.
Just don't send her any selfies.
It sounds like friends. Do you think this is friends with benefits?
Doesn't sound like there's a lot of benefits. Sounds like friends.
We're getting selfies.
I'm old. Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News, and subscribing.
Thank you
To the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
I'm out for presidents to represent me.
Say what?
My truck was stolen the weekend that I drove up to ask my wife to marry me. It was covered by USAA. They were able to give me the money right away so I can get back on the road.
We got married in my parents' backyard right before one of his deployments.
With USAA, they understand that there's deployments, that you're going to be away, and ultimately they try to make everything easy for you.
USAA truly understands the commitment to service. They always say, you've served your country, so we're here to serve you.
It feels great to know that my family will be insured through USAA and they will receive the same level of attention that I've received. We're the Villanueva family, and we are USAA members for life.
USAA. We know what it means to serve. Call today to start your insurance quote. 800-531-USAA.
Members paid for their participation. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Red Hot USC heads to Seattle to face 4th-ranked Washington.
Far left side of the field for the end zone. Jump ball, Darius Rogers. Touchdown, USC.
Coverage begins Saturday at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.